What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So let me say this before I talk about this clip I was looking at as far as with Undisputed and some of the Lakers. It is obvious that they look at the LDBC. Okay, they have people that research social media, look at what has been said, and they then adopt these talking points that we create and act like it's something that they observe and talk about on TV. Ticket was I'm not saying Ticket's the only person in the social media stratosphere to say this, but it's interesting that Ticket said this recently. LeBron has to play the point when LeBron comes back, right? And what's the first thing Chris Broussard says? LeBron has to run the point. They got to get the ball out of Russell Westbrook's hands. I find that very interesting. Then I find that interesting that he said Russell Westbrook, we got to give him time when they talked about as far as trades, right? Trading him. We, we got to give him time because Westbrook, he plays better as the season goes on. Now, where did you hear that from? You most likely heard that from 78 Me. We've noticed that. We've said that recently, multiple times. Now, look, maybe I'm being a little bit paranoid and, oh, it's just a coincidence. But I'm telling you, it's a lot of goddamn coincidences. It's literally been hundreds of coincidences over the past couple of years, especially with Chris Broussard, by the way. But anyway, I just want to talk about the point of the topic. They were talking about LeBron may be coming back soon from his injury and whether or not he can make this a championship team. And they're blowing smoke up viewers' asses, saying that, oh yeah, of course, yeah, LeBron, even though the age is a little problem, but as long as he stays healthy, winning basketball, championship DNA. Oh, let me tell you something, man. LeBron can't help this team. He can't. Um, when LeBron comes back, they'll be better if the ball is in his hands for the most part. But the fact remains that they are an older team that gets older by the day with certain components. Russell Westbrook, he's getting older. He's aging badly. He's 33 years old, just turned 33, but it's obvious to anybody that's watching him that he's losing his athleticism. That's the only advantage that he had, the only advantageous thing that he had to his game. He's not a good shooter. He's not a great traditional point guard. He doesn't have court vision. Uh, you know, uh, if anything, him losing his athleticism is going to hurt him as far as more so with turnovers. Okay, so he's losing that. LeBron is old and has a lot of miles on his body. Carmelo is older. All right, maybe not quite as many miles, you know, but it's close, and he's a little bit older. He's 37. He'll be 38 next spring. 38 years old. And we know the issues with AD. I mean, do we really have to go down this road? It's predictable. I'm tired of this, y'all. We know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. They're not going to the goddamn NBA Finals. Are we being serious? Are we really being serious for ourselves? Are we really deluding ourselves? Look, I'm gonna tell you something. As a reformed Michael Jordan fanatic, when I say reformed, if you were to talk to me 20 years ago, I was convinced that Michael Jordan could come back at age 40 and play like he did with the Bulls. He was going to come back and take the Wizards to the finals. I thought that. At some point, you have to start believing what your eyes are telling you and not what your heart. At some point, reality has to set in. LeBron James can still put up good numbers. LeBron James is still a very, very good player. but he is not the same player that he was just 3 years ago and beyond. He's not. These injuries he keep having, he's breaking down. He's breaking down, and you have his situation. You got AD. I mean, he's just AD is one hard foul away from being swept up off of the Staples Center floor with by one of those cleanup people. Man, he's gonna fall into a million pieces. They're gonna be sweeping him up and putting him back together like Humpty Dumpty, and he'll be out for 6 months and be on street clothes. And Russell Westbrook, as we said, he's just not a good fit. The Lakers still have some systemic problems that need to be corrected. Now, I tell you what, the moment that Russell Westbrook starts magically playing like Wade, not having the ball in his hands but being effective, coming off screens, doing other things, I think Russell Westbrook could be good at getting deflections and being active and getting rebounds and learning how to adjust to the pace of his teammates. All this magical shit that ain't going to happen. If that happened and AD started playing in the paint, beasting, instead of just settling for threes and shit, LeBron stays healthy, plays like he did in 2016. All this magical shit that I know is not going to happen. If that happened, I'd change my tune 100%. But it's not going to happen, man. But I think it's going to happen. With LeBron coming back eventually, I think they'll be. I think they'll execute better down the stretch. I think there'll be some games where they'll be fired up, but as they start playing tougher teams, a lot of these guys have a lot of these guys have what I want to say access to grind, not getting their respect. The Charlotte Hornets of the world, the Washington Wizards of the world, when they play against this Laker team, ooh, especially the Wizards. There's a couple of guys, about three of them I can think of, that got a lot of motivation to play good against the Lakers and make statements. Just three of them come to the top of my head. So I think that the Lakers are going to finish with something like I give them a 48-34 record. I might be off, but I give them a 48-34 record. And depending upon who they play in the first round, they're either going to be a first or second round exit. Now, this is barring injuries now. If injuries come part of other teams, then this is a different conversation. But as I said in my video on my other channel, man, was it this channel? No, it's my other channel. The days of LeBron James winning championships, I think, are over. I think they're over. He's good enough to take this team to the playoffs, but no, it's just not a good mesh. Now, even if they make some type of trade, at the deadline, by the All-Star break before the trade deadline, I don't know. I still just don't. I just don't think this team, man. I may be wrong, man, but I just don't. When I watch this team, I don't see a championship caliber team. I don't see one. I see a team that kind of reminds me a little bit of like the late '90s Rockets, where some games they're going to look good, but other games they're going to look their age, and then injuries are going to play a factor. We've seen this. So maybe you disagree with me, but tell me what you guys think.